So there's some bad news circulating around Chainsaw Man Season 2, so let's talk about it. So, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw me post this, and basically, a bunch of leakers are talking about how the director of Chainsaw Man, Nakayama, is getting replaced. Now, to kind of explain, there's going to be a MAPPA event in a few days. That's going to basically reveal probably a lot of information on, like, JJK Season 2, probably more stuff on Hell's Paradise, Chainsaw Man Season 2, all these different projects, so to speak, that, Studio MAPPA is working on. And so, because of that, obviously, since we're very close to that date, leaks are probably going to start coming out. It usually happens around this time. And a bunch of high-priority leakers, people that have been very well known in the anime community for a while now, have either liked this, retweeted this, etc., and pretty much are kind of in their own way slightly confirming that the director of Chainsaw Man Season 1 is getting replaced. Now, to kind of clarify a few things, okay? This is not officially confirmed yet. I even made a post myself. I literally said right here, not officially confirmed, but let's just go on a limb here and assume this is legit, okay? Let's assume we are now in a world to where Ryu Nakayama is not going to be directing Chainsaw Man Season 2. Why? Why would this happen? That is the question that we probably are asking ourselves, if you are unaware of the overall situation. So basically, a few days ago, you probably remember, I made a video discussing, MAPPA CEO Manabu talking about the financial success of Chainsaw Man, and how, overall, he confirms a lot of details. He laid to rest that, yes, Chainsaw Man was a financial success, and they learned a lot from it in terms of, let's say, marketing, being able to 100% invest in a series. They learned a lot from that overall venture. It was very, very profitable for them. However, there was one thing in that interview that Manabu stated that really stood out, and I talked about that in the video I made a few days ago. I'll have it linked in the description if you want to see kind of the whole thing. But in that article, he kind of talks about how he was disappointed in the home video release of Chainsaw Man, aka the BD and DVD sales of Chainsaw Man. And you're probably wondering, why does this matter? Well, this kind of all stems back to many videos I kind of made covering the topic and what other people talked about in the, community of Chainsaw Man and just the whole anime community in general. And what I mean is that, Chainsaw Man's Japanese fans did not like the anime. It was a very, very messy ordeal. To kind of clarify, basically, there was articles and stuff mentioned about it to where, the director went on record to say that he wanted to not use normal tropes and the similar methods as normal anime. He wanted to be different. He wanted to do more of a live-action type of take with it. And overall, since he didn't want to stick to tradition, it resulted in a lot of Japanese fans that like tradition not really enjoying the direction that the director was taking Chainsaw Man. And there's just a load of stuff. I mean, there was people trying to petition, him to get completely, removed, so to speak, as a director, for people to remake the entirety of Chainsaw Man. There was outright outrage, and the director himself was getting continuously trolled online by so many people, especially Japanese fans, and those that want to go and say it was a very small minority are lying to themselves. They are. And here's the thing, okay? Once again, that interview that the CEO of MAPPA stated that the home video release did not as well as they wanted kind of indicates that the sales figures and everything definitely were low. I mean, he straight up did say that the sales figures were definitely not good for BD DVD sales. And obviously the only place that sells the BD DVDs is Japan. And if we go on record and look at everything, the details, the articles, etc., it's clear once again Japanese fans did not like Chainsaw Man. They didn't want to support it. They were very upset with it, and so obviously the sales would be relatively low. So in terms of Chainsaw Man, it didn't probably do a lot of success in Japan. It might have broke even, but it didn't turn out to be as successful as it should. And so when you look at all these little factors and how he stated that the streaming was very successful, but everything else really wasn't, it's okay, he's indirectly saying that yes, Japan did not like it. There was a lot of feedback, a lot of criticism, a lot of harassment, and overall, it did not look very good, so to speak, for the overall brand. And so, if we're looking at this from a company perspective, it makes sense why Manabu would want to kind of replace Nakayama. Now, I'm not saying I want this to happen. I'm just saying from a company perspective, if the series really did low and Manabu's priority is to raise home video sales like DVDs, BDs, etc., then obviously it makes sense why the director would be changed to kind of get those that are against the Chainsaw Man anime to buy the product, because they want people to say, like, oh, so you are listening to us, you're willing to do it right, do it like what we want, and, yeah, so it makes sense from a company perspective to do that. Now, is it the right thing? That's up for debate. Let's talk about that one. So, Nakayama as an individual, okay, if we're, looking at him as an individual director, which I stated would be a disservice, this individual actually posted a little link to an article that was a long time ago I read, but this is kind of something that talks about what, Nakayama said about directing, Chainsaw Man Season 1. But the point is that Nakayama, he made Chainsaw Man's anime incredible. And I think anyone that tries to honestly not be a troll, like an actual troll, and look at it, can all agree that Chainsaw Man's anime was really good. You don't even need to like the show. But I think anyone that looks at Chainsaw Man without trying to be a troll can actually say that only people can dream of their anime being as good as Chainsaw Man Season 1 was. I know, I wish some of my favorite series of all time got an adaptation like Chainsaw Man Season 1 did. Tokyo Ghoul instantly comes to mind. Berserk instantly comes to mind. I just wish we would have some series that I think deserves that level of quality. But obviously, people are very spoiled, and they demand more. And obviously, it's just like when you see how people got very upset with, the first episode. How they're like, oh, the CGI is really awful or ugly. Turn around, it wasn't really CGI. It was just, different methods of animation, etc. All these little things. It's just people have been very spoiled by recent art animation, because of Demon Slayer, so to speak, that everything needs to be up to that level. And it's just it's very clear that people don't want artistic approach, at least from what I've seen. They don't like experimentation. And I mean, a good example of this of recent times, actually, besides Chainsaw Man, is Kamikatsu. I even talked about it. Hell, I, even kind of made fun of it a little bit. But at the same time, the experimentation really worked, and it put Kamikatsu on the map with the CGI. That looks really awful, but it did put it on the map. And it's clear that people don't like, experimentation. They like the same. And I feel like Nakayama trying to make things more live action, trying to not follow the traditional norms of how anime is, obviously got a lot of pushback by the Japanese fans, and even people in the West as well. But it's legitimately sad, because I feel like overall, in terms of the vibe I got from the anime, I felt like it was the greatest respect and nod to Fujimoto. Because I've said this in my videos, but I'll say it again. Fujimoto loves Western media. He loves Western movies, stuff from the West. He has constantly talked about this. I mean, hell, the opening song of Chainsaw Man is literally just a homage to a bunch of different classic movies. And I think anyone that actually looks at that opening will definitely recognize probably one or two things from it. And it's clear that the director really was harboring that love and passion for Chainsaw Man to heart, and really wanted to respect, Fujimoto's wishes of wanting to make something like a cinema, literally peak cinema. That's what the purpose of it was. It was basically to turn Chainsaw Man into kind of a different type, to more appealing, let's say, to people from the West. And obviously, that was successful. I think everyone can agree on this one. Yeah, there's going to be those naysayers that disagree, but I feel like a lot of people, at least in the West, even people that do not like anime, did enjoy Chainsaw Man. But obviously, it wasn't successful, I would say, completely in Japan, which gets into the main point. At the end of the day, a lot of Japanese companies do not give a crap about what the West thinks. That's the truth. It's a good and a bad thing. It's a double-edged sword, depending on a situation. The same could be said for, manga. I've talked about this. A manga could be very, very popular in the West. People are reading it weekly on Shonen Jump, but it will still get axed because it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what the Japanese fans think. And so that's what matters. They cater to that. Their main country, the audience, their main audience that's there on the ground. And if Chainsaw Man isn't necessarily doing popular in Japan, they're obviously wanting to fix that. even if it means that it's going to make the West upset. So, like I said, it's a good and a bad thing depending on how you view it, but I feel like overall, it's kind of sad, because I feel like the overall way Chainsaw Man was delivered was spectacular. It wasn't a perfect adaptation. Yes, there was things cut, like humor and all that, but I think trying to keep the serious tone and vibe of it and the way it was presented was definitely amazing. And I've never seen an anime given so much attention. Like, in terms of, let's say, just, like, the ending songs of how they were used. I've never seen an anime done like that. I was always blown away by just, like, let's say, ReZero cutting openings and ending songs to try to extend the length. But I've never seen a series try to have different openings, or different ending songs with a different song, with different art and animation, every single episode. That was out of this world in terms of incredible. But obviously, at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it. This is obviously, I just want to go on record and say this is a rumor. It isn't officially confirmed, but it is very believable that this is probably going to happen because of what the CEO of MAPPA said. I am very inclined to believe it and believe that that's probably what's going to happen. If it does, I feel like it's going to be a major step down for Chainsaw Man. But once again, it doesn't matter what we think in the West. Matters what the Japanese fans think. And it's very clear that they were unhappy with Chainsaw Man's anime. And nothing's going to change that. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. With that, be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.